Hello Wargamers, welcome back. Happy Sunday. It's time for another Purple Druid Presents. Tonight, morale check. What have I been up to this week? And what's coming up next? First, I'd like to go over some of the terrain that I've been building for the Imaginations campaign. I made some built-up areas that you can see here. And these are papercraft buildings. And they're on just these 6" by 6" canvas boards. And they're flocked with sawdust flock and static grass and these little bushes. And this is the new Vallejo Dark Earth, and it is just fantastic. I cannot recommend this enough. You paint this on, you give it a little stipple with a sponge, and I think it just looks fantastic. I also made some little terrain pieces, some little barricades. Is that in focus? There we go. So these turned out pretty well. I used some gravel in there, mixed in with the dark earth, watered down, and it's made a real nice mud, stony mud, little static grass, and then the back is just sort of painted. I didn't want to go crazy with the backs because this is where minis will be standing, so this is going to get a lot of wear. And then we also made some palisades. These turned out pretty good, I think. And they're muddy on both sides. I put a little bit of grass on the outside. I definitely need to make more of these. I've only got 3 so far, so I don't really have enough to fully enclose a built-up area to make it into a walled area. And it looks like I need to build a gate as well. But in any case, I think these look great, and we'll continue working on those. Also, reading materials this week. Joseph Morschauser's How to Play Wargames in Miniature. This is part of the History of Wargaming, put together by John Curry. This particular book was also edited by our very own Bob Cordery, who's active on Twitter. If you don't follow him, you really should. He's got a great blog and a lot of interesting things. And he's the author of The Portable Wargame, which is brilliant and has a lot of great things that I'm going to be using for Fantasy Grid. So, looking forward to that. I've also been working on the antique games. I did play a little bit of this one, Battle Cry by Avalon Hill. And this is designed by Robert Borg, and it's one of, I believe it is the first in the series that has created the Commands and Colors series. And it is really cool. I really enjoyed how it works, and I got some great ideas for the cards. As you may have seen, I did the playtest for Fantasy Grid the other day, and while I did have a couple problems with the card-driven mechanics and the spell casting, I do think I've got those ironed out. And in order to, well, let's talk about that a little bit. So I used the GMT solo system for card-driven games, and this was created, I believe, about 6 years ago by someone who goes by the handle of Stuka Joe. And this worked really well. I did have a couple of problems because there were some times that the particular tactic cards that were available say we were set up like so, and there may have been a situation where the one particular side could not do a shoot or a battle, and so it was recommended by one of the Substack subscribers, actually, Imperious Phantomas at the Pink Phantom on Twitter, that perhaps we should combine the tactic card and the special cards so that some of these could be lined up. So say, for instance, you can't do a battle. Well, instead of that, you call for reinforcements. Or you can't do a battle, so do a rush with the cavalry or the skirmishers. So there's some definite room for improvement there, and I haven't quite nailed down exactly how that's going to work and which. I think what's going to happen is I'll have 20 to 24 cards that will have an array of tactics on them, and then every tactic card will also have a separate entry for either a special activity they can do, or an event. And I think I'll generate some event cards that would be tactical in nature as opposed to the domain level, strategic level events that I've been working on for the HexTrail board game. Also, I did have some difficulties with spellcasting. There wasn't nearly enough magic in the game. I think the game needs more magic. I think it makes it more fun and adds a level of interest. So I came up with a little plan. It's gone through 2 iterations already, but basically what's going to happen is we're going to have the cards set up, and then we're going to have a magic area. And then each turn, the players will take each game, players will take let's say their tactic deck, and they'll roll see who gets to go first, and they'll flip over their first card, and it will have a moon or it will have a star, and that will determine which power source their spellcaster will use. So they'll take a token and they'll put it on their board, and then when it's time for each turn to come around, the players will draw from a magic deck, and they'll either get a card with a star or a card with a moon, which they'll put in the appropriate place. If your symbol is star, for every star card that you have, you can cast 1 spell. And then what you'll do is you'll look at the cards that are visible to you, and say those 2 cards are visible. You're the star, you have 1 star card, you have 1 star visible, you'll get 2 dice for rolling to cast your spell. And that'll determine the spell pool. If you want, you can save these cards up. If you draw a card and you have a moon and your symbol is the star, the moon will be your dispel. So in this case, the other player who has the moon as their power card, they'd go to cast a spell. Well, you've got a moon that you can use to dispel, and you can use this moon and that moon for 2 dice to try to dispel or counter their casting. And then out of the 20 to 24 cards, one of them will have a magical vortex. I know that's a terrible sketch, but anyway, a vortex that if you draw that card, that means that there's no magic, and all of the magic cards have to get discarded. So that'll be a little bit of fun. I think that'll be cool. Interesting. Well, anyway, we'll give it a shot. We're going to play test it. We'll find out what happens. So in any case, each card will have a tactic. Each card will have either a special ability that they can do in lieu of a tactic if they can't perform the tactic, or we'll have an event if they cannot perform any of the tactics that are face up. They must experience the effects of the event. So I think that'll be cool. Also, the second iteration, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do 5 cards or 6 cards, and I have a suspicion that I should go ahead and make a board that has 6, and then what'll happen is you can play 4 cards plus 1 additional card for every leader or hero that you have in your army. So that's what we're working on with that. Pretty excited about how that's coming out. What else is next here? Did some more work on the HexTrail campaign board game. Came up with some card ideas. This will also be a card-driven game. It's switched over from being a dice game, and this is where I got the idea once Pink Phantom told me that I should have 2 things on that. I said, well, you know, I've already got 2 things on each of the campaign cards, depending on the situation. So we'll just do the same thing for the tactical level as well. So what's going to happen, these will get cut out, and I've got some playing cards here, and I've got some card sleeves, and so we're just going to, sample card, right? Tuck this in here. That'll give it a little stiffness, and then we'll be able to draw our cards and drive the HexTrail board game with these cards. I have a bunch of these rules written up in draft form, and there will definitely be some play testing. I'm pretty sure I can have everything ready for Carnage Con in November. These are just the magic cards I used in the playtest. And what's the last? Oh, I did some more work on the basic mass combat system. Previously, this was called Index Card Mass Combat, and this is what your card will look like. I had a few friends take a peek at the rules, and they like them. I did a couple of play tests, and they seem to work all right. So what's going to happen is this will get published on the Substack as well, and we'll let the subscribers go ahead and take a look and run some play tests and see what's going on. And coming up in the future, starting tomorrow and for the next 4 days, I will be doing a bit of a writing jam. And we're going to go ahead and put together the entry for the Substack for the 22nd. I'm going to have an entry for the 22nd, both for Wargame Culture and for the World of War Substack. So if you're not signed up for both of those, go ahead and do it. There's a free trial for the Wargame Culture. The World of Warcraft Substack is totally free, and that is information about the role-playing game campaign that we're playing. It's just over 2 years old now, so we're very excited and proud of that. We're also going to complete the work on the cards for HexTrail, and should be able to do another playtest for that. And as for old games, I did round up a copy of Command and Colors Ancients, and I got all those blocks stickered, which was quite a process. So we'll be taking a look at that as well, and there may be a Let's Play on that. But there will definitely be a Let's Play, another Let's Play on Battlecry using the solo card system. And I'm going to try to squeeze in a Let's Play of Tank Battle. And I think that will help. Oh, one more thing. The grids. The grids. Where did I put the book? There it is. Morschauser was a pioneer in the grid-based game. This book is actually from 1961, and it has some great information. Obviously, a lot of it is basic, standard information for us in the wargame world now. But it's really interesting to see how the first person who wrote some of these things down did it. And look at these boards. These are really, really interesting. So I think we have some fun concepts. Oh, and also we're going to be doing some play testing this week. I have a rule set for the American Civil War that we're going to play test, I believe, on Tuesday. And also a colleague on Twitter is going to share some rules for a play test of a naval game. And I've never played a naval game, and so I'm excited about that. So we'll get those play tests. I will make short videos about those just to go over some of the basics, kind of a, not really an unboxing per se, but describing what there is and how the mechanics of a basic turn work. And so we'll give that a shot. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great week. I look forward to seeing you on Twitter and in the comments below. And for those of you that are subscribed to the Substack, I say thank you again. We have a lot of great content coming for you in the next few months. So keep on gaming.